is Johnny Works. All right, so let's get rolling here, baby. Smallest hole. Ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend's picture. Okay? Joint compound. This is all-purpose joint compound for drywall. Okay? They make lightweight stuff. They make other stuff called fluff that's, all right, doesn't work that great. This stuff works pretty good. Takes a little while to dry. I wouldn't touch it for, I don't know, probably a day. If you, little hole like this, maybe a couple an hour or two, but big holes like this, it takes a couple different coats, okay? So if I'm fixing this hole right here, my little pitcher hole, I take the minimalist amount I can, okay? I put it on right over the hole, and then I take most of it off. So all I did was fill the hole, and then I took all the excess off right there on my knife, okay? The minimal. The more you put on, the more you're gonna sand later. The more you're gonna look right at that thing and see it, okay? When you patch, you don't wanna be seeing everything you patch after, okay? It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Screw holes. You know why? Because I put them there, so we might as well hit them. It's the same method. You go one direction, right? I put the mud on, I go this way, and I go that way. There's barely any mud. Look at that, Ava, come up here. Please. There's no mud even around that. All I did was fill that nail hole, okay? I mean, screw hole, sorry. And the same here. This is mesh tape, good for patching, okay? So, basically here's my hole. I make sure it's flat. If it's not, I can bang in the edges, because I don't want nothing sticking out. Make sure it's pretty flat, okay? Take this tape, and it's also sticky on the back. Okay, stick to the wall. I stick it to the wall, all right? I take my knife and I push it down so it stays, and this is the secret here, like a professional. Put the knife here and tear it away, okay? There it is. If you're not feeling good about that, you can go the other way, and you can do one more, okay? Like so, okay? So, yeah, so I got mesh going both ways, makes it a little stronger, okay? And I tear it off, all right? It's nice and flat. I don't want to mess with it too much. It's flat, it self-sticks. Now I just take that joint compound, okay? Put this thing down. Take this bad boy right here, all right? Get a little bit of compound, okay? Drop a little on the floor. All right, now, I'm definitely using a little more mud than I used on those little holes, okay? I kind of have to, because I have to cover this mesh tape. Because even though I got it nice and flat, the mesh tape is still, you know, it's still a little, it's not paper thin, it's a little, tiny bit more than paper, okay? So, I go around, I make it so I can't see the mesh through my mud, okay? Just like this, if you want to come over here, Laz. Just like that, okay? Basically what I do is I take this knife, I put it against the drywall, okay? On the outside edges, I hold it tight. Tight like this. Come here for a second. Over here, right here. I hold the blade tight to the drywall, and then this other side, towards the center of my hole, I hold it off a little. That keeps more mud on the patch and less on the outside edges, so I don't have a big glob on the wall. You'd be sanding forever, okay? And then I just like that, okay? Now, the dry time for this bad boy says, I have no idea. I just been doing this so long, I kind of know. Room temperature of 24 hours is what they tell you. Application, temperature 55 degrees. Okay, drying time, 24 hours. Because this is not the fast drying stuff, this is the regular stuff that they would use new construction, okay? Which is still good. I would use this. I recommend it. I would use it in my house. If I do a project like my bathroom I did last year, I use this, okay? Same stuff all the guys at work are using on all of it. All right, so I do my patch, one coat, and I leave it 24 hours. Don't even look at it. Don't even think about it. Leave it alone, don't touch it, and then you can come back tomorrow at this time, okay? Take your knife, go over the edges real quick. Make sure there's no big bumps, and then hit another coat on there, another coat, okay? Nice and thin. Make sure you can't see your mesh tape. And then you wait another 24 hours, let that thing dry, okay? After those two coats, you should be able to sand the edges, sand the middle a little bit, nice and easy, with one of these things right here. Sanding block, okay? It's like a sponge, but a sanding thing, okay? They make different grits. You don't want a super grit, you want like a fine grit, or a kind of fine grit. You have to check them out. And you'll be able to sand this thing after 2 coats, not today, after 2 coats. Sand it off nice and easy, and then it'll blend in, and then you can paint. Wallboard, 4x4 or 4x4 inch, 4 inch by 4 inch. Sorry, can't speak. Repair patch. Okay. The difference between this and the mesh is that this thing has metal. Okay, it's a little stronger, and it's sticky just like that. Okay, sticky bag. Take this, you peel it off. It's got that metal. Okay, I put this thing right over my hole. Okay, take my knife, nice and easy. Flatten that thing out. Make sure it sticks good. Make sure nothing's sticking up, going crazy. No crazy pants happening over here. Okay, it's nice and flat. It's a little stronger because it has that metal backing. And then do the exact same thing. Okay, I'm using 2 knives. That way I can pick a big chunk of this up. Okay, I can take off what I want, kind of like a painter's, I forget what that thing's called. I stick that thumb through and it's got all the paint around there. Like Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross. What's that called?
Palette?
Yeah, the palette. This is my palette. Okay, put the mud on my palette. Take the colors off. And I do the same thing, okay? Put that mud, happy cheese. I'm gonna do the happy cheese. You don't think that's funny? Happy cheese sauce. Okay? Alright, so second to last. 1 more, 2 more. So the hole that I had here, okay, was a little bigger of a hole than this one, all right? So I couldn't go stud to stud and cut a big piece because I had a cabinet here. Not really, but pretend I had a cabinet, okay? Something in the way, the corner, a door frame, whatever, I couldn't go any farther. So what I did, I took this, called the keyhole saw, all right? I made this hole bigger, which I actually did earlier because you probably already saw it in the video. I cut this thing out, okay? Cut it all out. And then I took some 2x4s because I had some scrap. Okay, I had some scrap pieces. I cut them to fit, and I left a little bit hanging out inside my hole all the way around, okay? I took them one at a time. I put one in, took my screw gun, put a screw on there, and I screwed a couple screws to hold this thing, okay? And then I just worked my way around. I put the next one in, I took a measurement, put the next one in, took a measurement, put the next one in. So now I have a border. I have 2x4 all the way around. It's not structural, but it's gonna hold this drywall, okay? I left enough 2x showing all the way around that I can secure this thing. All right, just dimpling the surface, just like a couple videos ago. You don't want to suck them in too far, okay? I left enough 2x4 showing on the inside that I could do this, all right? All right, so now my piece is in. Okay, it's a little rough around the edges where I cut it. So, if I have to, I'm gonna take my knife and just scrape all that crap out of there. Make sure it's nice and flat. Make sure there's no bumps sticking out. Okay? And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use that mesh tape. I'm gonna mesh around this thing and then I'm gonna mud it. There you go, Vobs. This is my daughter, showing how it's done. Prodigy. Come on, woman. There you go. Nice. Look at that. So easy a caveman could do it. I think you're missing the hole there, Chicky Pants. You might have to go down a little bit. There you go. Good girl. Nice. Look at that. Smoothing it with a knife, tearing it away. Make sure that stuff's all sitting nice and flat. Right? Push it with your fingers. You can use your fingers if you want. All right, last hole, last one. Giant melon hole. Okay. Somebody power bombed somebody up through the wall. Just like I did at my house, and I had a big Iron Maiden tapestry over that for like 10 years. My dad didn't know. That's a true story, by the way. Anyway, what I'm gonna do with this, I'm gonna take my level, okay? My head was big enough to go through that wall that I can look in here and find a stud. You guys know where the stud is. You should, because you can see my screws. But if this thing was finished and painted, I'd have to look inside, find the stud, grab a tape measure or something to measure with, stick it inside there, touch the stud, figure about 4 inches from right about here. Here's my 4 inches, right about there. That's about the edge of my stud. Okay, what I want to do is go over 3/4-ish. Okay, so there's my 4 inches. And go over about 3/4 of an inch. There's my stud right there. That's the center, okay? From there, I should be able to measure 16. And that's the center of my other stud. If not, I could stick it in the hole. Same thing. Measure over, see where my stud is. Come out here, mark it. Okay, after I mark where my studs are, take my level, if you have a level. Hopefully you have a level. If you don't, buy a level. Make sure it's level. Mark it. Go over here. Make sure this one's level. Mark it. Okay. How big you make this cut is up to you. It depends how big your giant melon hole is. Okay. I want to stay a little bit away from the hole. Okay. I'm going to pick a random number to make sure I get past it. So I'm going to guess, I'm going to say 16. Okay. So on my stud, I'll go 16 here. I'll go 16 here. In case you didn't catch that, I marked that earlier. I cheated. So I already had a mark. Okay. I went 16 inches from here down, 16 from here down. I measured over, found out where the center of my stud was. I measured from my hole here, found out where the center of my stud was. Okay. So now I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to cut this out all the way around after I level this one. When I say level, I mean mark that mark I made. Okay. So I'm going to cut all this out, pull it out, take my 2x2 foot square, 2 foot by 2 foot square that I got at the store, Home Depot, those box stores. Grab that square, take my tape measure, mark out this piece right here, insert. I am going to take my joint compound, I'm going to spread it over the seam all the way around, and then I'm going to use what they call paper joint tape, which is this, a little bit different than the mesh. This is what they would use if they're doing new construction. They don't use the mesh. Mesh is like a repair thing. This stuff is what they would use normally, paper mesh tape. I mean, paper, what the hell is it called? Paper joint tape, okay? When I did this tape, all right, when I hit the tape, what I did was I put a thin coat of mud, okay, I'm not sure if I explained it well enough. I did a thin coat of mud, and then I stuck that tape to the end, I held it with one knife, right, and then I squeezed it down like this, and it pushes like a tube of toothpaste, it pushes all that mud out. It just leaves a little thin layer behind this tape, okay? Because you don't want a big bump, just a little thin layer, and that's all you need to hold this on. Almost like it was, you know, it had a sticky back like the mesh. Okay, little thin layer, you squeeze out all the excess mud that you don't need, and now this thing is virtually flat, okay? The second coat is to cover this paper, and actually, when you do the paper, you should have 3 coats. The first one sticks to the tape sticks to it. The second one tries to cover this. The third one is usually a wide coat, okay? If they make a long knife, it usually covers this thing completely and it feathers it out over a big gap, okay? Right now, I'm using my little knife instead of the big knife, okay? I'm not gonna do the whole thing, but I'll do enough to show you guys, okay? All right, so I showed you guys earlier how I hit the edges, okay? This was my mesh tape. This was my solid paper tape, okay? Let me adjust. Okay, this was my paper tape. I hit the paper tape all the way around, tried to cover all the tape, okay? I bevel my knife. I hold it tight against the drywall, and then I let the other end towards the middle feather out a little bit, okay? So it's like, not flat, it goes like this, bevel. That's the word, bevel, okay? So, tight on the bottom, hold this off loose. I go around the edges. The edges are really, really thin right now, okay? The middle is a little bit thicker. All right, when that dries, it'll be a little bit of a mound. I hate to say a mound, but a little bit of a mound, all right? As long as you don't put too much mud on and you just cover the paper, you'll be fine. The next part tomorrow, or when I come back 24 hours, will be to sand the outside edges and blend those in so it almost looks like there's no mud. And then the middle, nice and easy, I go right over it so it's smooth as a baby's butt. I take a rag, wipe it all off. If I don't see any gouges or divots or bumps or anything, it's nice and smooth. It'll blend in really nice when I paint, okay? This was a big patch, so that'll blend in. As long as I sand it nice, it'll be fine, okay? I have these 2 patches, but I'm not gonna waste your time and hit them. Okay, these were both mesh. This was the small one, this was the big one. I used that same mesh, okay? I'm gonna do the same method. Take mud, cover up so I don't see any mesh on my second coat, okay? More important on the second coat. First coat can just cover it, you still see mesh. If you can see, I don't know if you can still see it a little bit. When I do the second coat, which I'm gonna do after this, you won't see any mesh. And then tomorrow I'll sand all of these, okay? And you won't see any mesh, everything will look nice and smooth. And then it's time to sand it down. After you're done sanding, take a very damp, actually not very damp, a lightly damp rag, wipe it all off after sanding, okay? That takes off any dust, okay? Then you can paint. Prime paint. If you're blending it into a living room, the hole the kids broke or whatever, you can prime a little bit. They make primer that matches the color that you have. I just touched my mud. They make primer that matches, or you can just use regular white primer. It might take 2 coats to cover it, okay? Or you may hate it and you have to paint your whole wall. But guess what that's like? 5 different holes. Mosquito. How to patch a hole. Ooh, I actually got him. Ha-ha. I used to do martial arts for 20-something years. I just caught that mosquito just like Daniel's son. 5 different holes. Screw holes, nail holes, mesh hole, another mesh hole, paper tape, piece of wood with a block. Johnny Works. Please subscribe and hit the like button.